Grandpa, tell me the story about how you met Grandma.
Oh, I met Grandma.
Yeah, I like that story.
Well, I had quit school and I had went to work for farmers, and at the time I was working for a farmer by the name of Tillstrom. I was in the I can't remember what. I think it was cabbage. We were cutting some cabbage or something, and I looked up, and here comes 3 or 4 young people walking, and they had to walk down the road to get to where the bus picked them up. The bus didn't pick them up at their house, and the fellow I was working with, he was an older man. I mean, not real old, but he was probably in his 50s. And he says, "That's my daughter." And I looked at it, and there was Selma. That's when I first met her. I mean, saw her.
Saw her. Was it love at first sight?
No. No, I even got engaged to a different woman. And she gave, I was in the service, and she wrote me a Dear John letter. And of course I was kind of happy, because it's bad to be engaged. But I had got to know Thelma over the years. I had got to know my the girl that was going to be my wife, and then I was sitting there in the Philippines. I was just sitting there, not doing nothing, one evening, and I said, "Well, gee, I never was much for writing letters or nothing," and so I wrote her a letter.
Grandma?
Yeah, Grandma. And I says, I don't remember what I said or nothing, but this was after the other girl had given me a Dear John letter. This was several months. I mean, this was a long time, maybe a year after. And I said, well, when I get next time I get back to the States, and I don't know when that's going to be, because I'm in the Philippines now, but I'll give you a call. And the next time I got back here to the States, that was about,
Go, Riley. Go.
I had made a rate increase when I went to the Philippines, and when I got to the Philippines, they put me in charge of of the shop, because I was a second class electrician, and I was in charge of 7 aircraft, and we were a mail. We flew the mail around to different areas.
Oh.
That's what the planes were for.
Riley, no.
And I said, well, I really don't want this. No, I don't want this to take over this shop, because the only thing I've ever learned, the reason I can pass tests is because I don't have any trouble with tests. I can always pass tests and get 100 every time, frankly. But now you have put me in charge of, I think it was 5 different people in the shop, and we were working on aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
And I says, if you people want me to do that, that's fine, but you got to let me go to school and learn a little bit. But because all I know is what I've read in books and little pamphlets, I mean, little hardback books. And we can't put you in school because you didn't go to high school. So we can't do that. Well, I said, I don't want the job then. And so about 2 months later, they sent me to to Japan on a carrier. They found a spot on the carrier that could use a second class. And but then I wasn't running anything. I was just doing the work, and I had no problem just doing the work.
Yeah.
It was doing the running the shop is what I didn't want to mess with, because I just that wasn't my expertise.
Yeah.
And so
that's why Grandma owned the company.
well, yeah, that's the reason, exactly the reason. When I went and talked to Baskin Robbins, I took Mom in with me, and I said, "Now, Thelma is the company. She is the bookkeeper, and she runs the company. So you'll be talking to her all the time, unless it's a technical something to do with the cabinets or countertops." And so I introduced her right away, and then from then on, she runs the whole thing. But all I had to do, I mean, I had everything. They sent me the plans, and that was enough. So I built from them. But anytime we had anything to do with money and stuff, Mama handled that.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to how you met Grandma.
Well, that's when I met her. Was that when I was in that field working on cabbage and.
But after Japan, when you came.
Well, after Japan, after they put me on the carrier, then the carrier was up there for 6 months. Yeah, because I went on to the carrier just after they left the United States and they came into the Korean War was going on, and so they went online for 6 months, and that's where I went.
No, really.
And then we went to we got done with our six months online, and we went to Hawaii, and then back to San Diego. That's where we departed. The ship was in San Diego, and I was stationed in a naval air base outside of San Diego. I can't think of the name of it right now. But then I wrote a letter to Mama, and we just got. And when I got my first leave, I went on home and drove over there from Gresham. From after I got home, and drove over, and we went out from then on. And I think the second time I took a leave and come here, I asked her to marry me, and she said, all right. And so, and I still had another year to go in the Navy, but I was going overseas. So she decided she set the date up. It was December when we got married, yeah. And then I had to go back and get on the ship, and I was overseas until when they come back. When I come back is when I just got discharged and come home.
So when you came back on that first leave, did you guys go on dates?
Oh yeah. We didn't live together, but we practically did. Yeah. No. We knew each other. Now we didn't have any intimate relations. Don't get me wrong, but we didn't do that. But we had.
You're courting her?
We knew that she belonged to me and I belonged to her. We knew that right from the beginning. There was very little thing to it.
It was meant to be.
It was just meant to be.
She couldn't get rid of you.
No, and I
What?
just about dumped her over because after we got married, I had it all fixed up. I had to go overseas again for 6 months, and she was working for a company in Portland, White Stag. It was they made stuff, clothes and stuff. And I went on back to the base and was getting ready. We had 2 or 3 weeks, and we were getting ready to get back on the ship again. And somebody called me in the shop and said, "You have a visitor down here at the gate." And I said, "Well, yeah, all right." So I went down there to look, and it was Mama. And I said, "Well, what went on?" Oh, I went back to work, and then I didn't like what was going on, so I quit. And I had all that figured out in my head, all the money we were going to make and have for that 6 months.
Yeah.
Because when we got married, right off the bat, she got about $120 or something. What do you call it? She was the wife, so she got this kind of money, and then of course her own wages and everything, and my gosh, it was on and on and on, and oh.
What? So in your younger days with your bride, what did you guys like to do together?
Oh, we run all the time. No, all right. When we first got married, I was building a house in Gresham. All right. We built the house, and then I traded it for a farm. That didn't go over too good. In fact, about 6 months into that house, she told me one morning, she says, "I'm leaving you. I can't live here no more." And I said, "All right, well, hang on there, and I'll sell the place." And so I sold the place, and we moved back we rented a house, but then the fellow we'd sold the house to, he decided he didn't want to stay there, and so we just took the old house back. And we lived a very complicated life. I mean, it wasn't a simple just.
Well, yeah, but did you guys go out dancing or movies?
Every Friday, yeah.
Every Friday?
Well, just about every Friday we would hunt up a dance.
Who was the better dancer, you or Grandma?
Well, she was the only one I could dance with, so I don't know. I didn't know anything. I didn't know how to dance, but I could dance with her. And no, we stayed busy. We stayed busy building houses. After we got off the farm and got back into the house, then I seen an ad in the paper, and I went and I started tearing houses down, and not as a job. I was working at Reynolds Metal, working at the aluminum plant, and because when I got out of the service, I had 4 years seniority in the aluminum plant, so I went right back to work for them.
Because of your veteran status?
Huh?
Because of your veteran status?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I tore down a couple houses in Portland. That one house.
Riley? No.
It was a nice looking thing to start with, and I got into it. It was a 2-story, well, 2.5-story building, and I got into the dead blame thing, and it was made out of used stuff. So I didn't get too much out of that one. But I did pretty good on most of this. I got a lot of material out of it. That's how, before I got married, we were living, my family, my mom and dad, and we were living up there, anyway, out towards Boring. And I seen an ad in the paper that somebody around Gresham had a barn they wanted tore down. And when I was going to work one day, I seen an ad in the I don't remember exactly. Anyway, I seen this real estate, and it said lots for sale. That's what it was, yeah. And so I stopped on the way to work or on the way home one time, and I bought a lot. It was, I don't remember how much down, $50 or something down, but $15 a month for that lot. And so then I had that lot, and then I got a chance to tear this barn down. Now wait a minute, I'm getting something mixed up. Because I was working for a farmer then. Yeah, because I used his truck. Okay, that was before I got married. Yeah, but that's right, that was before I got married. And then I went over there and tore that barn down, and I took all that material and put it over on the lot. And then I said, Dad, now this lot is big enough we can make 2 lots out of it. So this one lot, you build a house on there, and then when I get to the point where I can, I'll build a house next door to you. And that was before Mom and I got together. And so when I tore that barn down, that was a lot of good lumber in that barn. And so when I kind of got Dad going on it, he knew how to do it. My dad knew how to do anything. I don't care what he did, he could do it good. But he wasn't real ambitious. But he had a son that had all kinds of ambition, but didn't know how to do nothing. So I said, "No, you got to clean." And these lots that we bought that I bought had about 100 trees on them, about that big around trees.
Mm-hmm.
Just, and I said, "You got to clear all them. You got to clear enough trees out of there where you can build your house." And he said, "What?" And I said, "Well, I bought this lot, so we've got a place to build a house now, and now I've got all this material." And I was wondering how he was going to do it, but he got somebody with a tractor come over there, and he cut the trees off about 6 or 8 foot high, and he hooked the tractor on it and then pulled the trees out of it. I mean, the trunk, the roots out of there.
Yeah.
And that's how he cleared that out. And then the trees that we cut out of that place, we cut them the logs into 8-foot logs, and they used to have a lot of little sawmills around, and they would cut studs, 8-foot studs. That's what the walls are made out of,
mm-hmm.
the studs. And so we just about built 2/3 of that house just off the lumber I had and the lumber we took off of the lot itself. But then he had to buy some. But anyway, all of a sudden we had moved out of the farm we were living in, and we were on this house, and Dad built the garage first. Now he built this garage, and him and Mom and Ruth Ann lived in the garage, and me and Vincent and Lawrence and Martin lived in a tent. And I said, "Whoa!" And I went. This was in the middle of the winter, and I went all the way till about the 20th of December, and I was freezing to death every day. I mean, I'd get off work, come home at midnight. I'd work shift work. Every week was a different shift. And I'd come home on graveyard. I'd come home and sleep during the day. But on swing shift and day, I'd sleep during the night. And finally I said, "This ain't getting it." So I went down and I joined the Navy.
He was freezing you out.
So anyway, No, that was I kept busy, and anybody who was associated with me kept busy too.
So, did Grandma ever help you on houses?
Oh yeah, Grandma and Grandpa. Well, not the houses I built, because I primarily built over in this area, because we see, when did we buy? We bought.
Well, I'm talking about your bride, Grandma.
Oh yeah. Well, she. Well, not too much, because she had to work and buy the groceries and stuff. And by that time, when we were starting to build more houses, we had at least 2, possibly 3 kids. So she had a lot on her shoulders. And but the main thing was, if I didn't make any money, she had to buy the groceries. That was understood. I would pay all the expenses, but she had to buy the groceries, and so she had to work. We women didn't get paid very much back in those days.
They still don't.
And well, men didn't get paid an awful lot either, and they still don't, I don't think. But she made enough to pay the babysitting and to buy the food, and that's all we needed.
But you loved Grandma.
Oh yeah, she was my whole life, and that's the biggest problem now.
What, you miss her?
We had planned or I had planned anyway, all this time, that I would go first, and then she'd be doing what I'm doing now. And she could have handled it, but I can't.
What do you mean? You keep us in line.
Well, she would have been better. She would have been better at it anyway.
I miss her too. I wish both of you were still here.
Yeah.
Grandma was a pretty cool person.
Huh?
Grandma was pretty cool.
Yeah, she was. I taught her everything she knew, but no, she helped me paint when I got the frame up and the sheetrock in and stuff. She'd help me paint it and do stuff like that. But most of the time she was working and had plenty to do without worrying about that kind of stuff.
Grandpa, I love you.
Yeah, I love everybody too. I love you too.
I love all of your stories.
Yeah. I got a lot of stories, so don't get me started on them.